That is so crazy. This is honestly one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my entire life. And I just think it's very dangerous to play around with this stuff. Like, very dangerous.
Well,
I don't want a revolution, but if you wanted a revolution, this is how you would act.
Yes.
Hey, we have a special guest with us. Nick Bryant is an investigative journalist, author, known for his work on high-profile sex trafficking cases, particularly his in-depth investigations into the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. He gained recognition for publishing Epstein's Little Black Book, and he authored the Franklin scandal, which explored one of the first widely publicized child trafficking rings. Welcome to the show, Nick Bryant. Hey, Nick.
Great to be with you, Jimmy.
Fantastic. Now, I'm bringing you on because I can't get over the amount of bull we're supposed to swallow right now. And even Elon Musk won't take it. Elon Musk tweeted this out. He said they arrested and killed Peanut. Remember that squirrel? But they have not even tried to file charges against anyone on the Epstein client list. The government is, and so he tweets this out. It says more squirrels and raccoons have been arrested than anyone on Epstein's client list. And here is a guy, I found this guy on Twitter. He's his name is Dr. Michael Schur. He's a former head of the CIA's Bin Laden task force. And listen to what he says about Jeffrey Epstein. So now, if you are to believe Pam Bondi, there is no client list, and Jeffrey Epstein was not in the business of blackmailing people in power. That's according to Pam Bondi right now. That's the Trump administration. Of course, that's coming from Donald Trump. That's coming from his bosses, which is probably a foreign country. That foreign country, not Russia. So listen to what this guy said, the former head of the Bin Laden task force. He says this.
We are no more than the play toy of the Israelis. You want to know why that business about no list of people? It's because these Israelis and the CIA and MI6 were all involved in that adventure on Little St. James Island.
So what he seems to be confirming there, that's a CIA guy, head of the Bin Laden task force, seems to be confirming is that Jeffrey Epstein was working with the Mossad, the CIA, and the MI6, meaning the intelligence communities in the UK, Israel, and the United States. And we're supposed to believe now that Kash Patel and Pam Bondi and Dan Bongino, who've made a living off of screaming about the Epstein case, are now telling us there is no case there to be had. And let me show you one more video, and then I'll get your response to this. Here's Tucker Carlson. Most recently, Tucker Carlson goes bananas over what we're supposed to believe. Listen to what he said.
But how can you say that thousands of children were raped, but I'm not going to find out who raped them?
Yeah.
How can you say that?
I agree completely.
They said that. By the way, when Pam Bondi went on television and said, I have a videotape of kids getting abused, I followed this case closely, and I know a lot of the people involved, as I've told you.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. I didn't know that. Really? Thousands of children got raped?
Yeah.
Who raped them? Where are the rapists? Like, why aren't they in jail? What? This is the Department of Justice.
Yes.
That is so crazy. This is honestly one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my entire life. And I just think it's very dangerous to play around with this stuff. Like, very dangerous.
Well,
I don't want a revolution, but if you wanted a revolution, this is how you would act.
Yes, yeah.
But how can you say that?
So let me bring in Nick Bryant now. Why do you? What is going on? Why? What? Obviously, there is a list. There had to be a list of people, and as Kurt says, they're not clients. They were the marks, right? They were the people they were blackmailing. There's got to be a list of those people, and they've all said there was up until the moment they got into position of releasing it, and they didn't. So take it wherever you want.
Well, the Palm Beach Police Department is the only law enforcement entity, judicial entity, that has done the right thing by these victims. And they found 23 victims, and they were going to indict Jeffrey Epstein right out of the gate on 4 counts of unlawful sexual activity with a minor and 1 count of lewd and lascivious molestation. And that got taken away from them, and it was given to a grand jury. And I don't know if your listeners are familiar with how grand juries work, but a special prosecutor is chosen for a grand jury, and grand jurors are just citizens that have shown up for grand jury duty, and they've been funneled to, or for jury duty, and they've been funneled to a grand jury. And the special prosecutor shows them the evidence that he deems is reasonable and proves his case and calls the witnesses. So there was a New York Supreme Court justice that his famous quip was, special prosecutors have so much power over grand jurors that they could get them to indict a ham sandwich. And that was the case. Only 2 victims of Epstein were called by that grand jury, and they were skewered. They were called prostitutes. One had been molested by Epstein when she was 14 and she was now 16. And one had been molested by Epstein repeatedly when she was 16. She was now 18. And the special prosecutor was calling them prostitutes. But anyway, Michael Ryder is the real hero in this story. He would not back down. He was the chief of the Palm Beach Police Department. He would not back down. And he went to the Department of Justice and he said, this is the greatest miscarriage of justice in modern times. You've got to do something about it. And the Department of Justice acted like they were going to impanel a grand jury. And then all of a sudden there was radio silence. And what they had done is made a very dirty deal with Jeffrey Epstein, and they had sealed it. And the Crime Victims' Rights Act, the victims of crimes, it's a law that they have to be aware of the adjudication of their perpetrators. And actually they do get to confront their perpetrators. But the feds took this dirty deal and they sealed it. And lawyers representing some of the victims and the Palm Beach Police Department or the Palm Beach Post appealed it, and it was ultimately unsealed. And what happened was the feds gave blanket immunity to everybody. They named a bunch of perpetrators that have come up, and they gave blanket immunity to everybody, to all the perpetrators. And Epstein had to do 13 months in a county jail. That was the deal. And then when Alexander Acosta, and I'm sure you know about this, when Alexander Acosta was going to be labor secretary and he's been vetted by the Trump administration, he was asked, why did you go so light on Epstein?
He was the prosecutor in Palm Beach. Alexander Acosta was the prosecutor.
He was the U.S. attorney overseeing the prosecution.
Overseeing the prosecution of Epstein, the only time he's been prosecuted. And go ahead, tell the rest of the story. So he was asked.
The Trump administration was vetting him, and he said, why did you go so light on Epstein? And he said, I was told that Epstein was intelligence and that I had to stand down. And he's been confronted with that statement. He's never denied it. And here's where the power comes in. And I've looked into this, talked to some legal scholars. The only 2 people in the government that can tell a U.S. attorney to stand down are the attorney general and the president. And at that point in 2007, the attorney general was Alberto Gonzales and the president was George Bush too. So, and there's no way that Alberto Gonzales is going to preemptively cover up a nationwide pedophile network. He's going to have to get the okay from his boss, so he knows it's cool. And so that cover up emanated from the loftiest regions of the Bush administration. And then every other administration has covered it up since then.
So the one time that Jeffrey Epstein was actually prosecuted, it was revealed by Alex Acosta that he was working with intelligence. And now we're told by the Trump administration that he wasn't. He's just some guy, some billionaire guy. We don't know where he got his money. We don't know who he sex trafficked people. By the way, Ghislaine Maxwell's doing 20 years for sex trafficking people to nobody. Apparently she didn't traffic them to anybody. Apparently this was all just Jeffrey Epstein. And if it was just Jeffrey Epstein, why would he have to get himself in with Prince Andrew and Bill Gates and all these other, and Bill Clinton and all these other powerful people? He would just sit on his own island being a pedophile. But that's not what this was. This was an intelligence operation from Israel so that that they could control people and blackmail people. And that's, I mean, this is proof that it's working, is it not, Nick? Isn't this not proof that it's working? The fact that the Trump administration, filled with people who've screamed about releasing the Epstein files, are now in power and they're not doing it? Isn't that proof that Israel has control over them?
I would say that's proof of concept. But people have told me a number of, I've been talking about Epstein for years. I started investigating in 2012. And I think it's a good surmise to say that the Mossad was involved. But I don't see the Mossad compromising American politicians on American soil without the CIA getting a cut of intelligence.
Of course.
And I've looked into this, and the three bellwethers, as far as countries go and blackmail, are the United States, Israel, and Great Britain. They lead the way when it comes to sexual blackmail honey traps.
And so, yeah,
question.
go ahead, Kurt, go ahead.
Because what's your Franklin scandal book called, Nick? Again, the title?
The Franklin scandal, a story of power brokers, child abuse, and betrayal.
Okay, so are you familiar with the David Asimov story too? The one in California where Isaac Asimov's kid was running a CP ring, the biggest bust ever in California. They were going to kick it up to the AG, the state, and it was going to be so much worse for him. But then he got a sweet plea deal instead. The AG was named Robert Mueller, and then he became the head of the FBI. Do you know that story?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of amazing. I've been in this murky world since I started writing and researching the Franklin scandal in 2002, 2003. And I've also written a book called Confessions of a DC Madam, The Politics of Sex Lies and Blackmail. And it was from the perspective of a guy that ran the largest gay escort service in DC. And the CIA used his escorts to blackmail people.
Barney Frank?
Actually, Barney Frank was a frequent flyer of that escort service. And so Americans are very naive about how blackmail plays an integral role in their political system. And it's very unfortunate. And we're seeing blackmail playing out right now, as Jimmy pointed out. It's right there. It's looking us right in the face.
And so here, so there's Tucker Carlson saying this is the most mind-blowing thing he's ever seen.
Wait, Jimmy, one more thing. Trump, they strung you along. They strung everybody along. Remember, the big, beautiful bill that's going to destroy everything? It's passed. So that's why they can make such a poor lie that's so obvious, because fuck you. They passed that bill. You're fucked. It's done.
Yeah.
That's why they don't care, and they're saying that. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. Once we get that beautiful golden dome, you're going to do even less.
That's right. Hey, come see us on tour. We're going to be in Toronto, Red Bank, New Jersey, Northampton, Massachusetts, Concord, New Hampshire, Oxnard, California, Rutherford, New Jersey, New York, Edmonton, Calgary, and Vancouver. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. Hey, if your clothes are made of polyester, you may want to hear this. Check out this recent interview I did that delves into global microplastic pollution. Tap the video link right here to watch now.